Welcome back to Echo Ridge in another episode here in our Duplicity series where we are printing one dupe every 3 cycles. I've queued up a couple of dig commands, the first one being a priority 4 just to keep the digging and clearing of this planetoid ongoing, and the next one is so we can figure out what this first geyser is. There's another one right above it, but there isn't exactly an easy path to get up to it, so I think I am eventually just going to have to cut through and open up all this hydrogen and chlorine, and the dupes are going to get itchy eyes, but I mean, that's not so bad, right? Today we're going to be working on finishing up the SPOM and its cooling solution. I want to try to use this anti-entropy thermal nullifier to cool all the oxygen that's coming out of it. Now, I have done this before, I just don't recall how much excess hydrogen we are going to be able to use from it. I do remember last time I did this, I did have a couple of issues, I just don't remember what they are. I also want to start working on some Pacu. At first I was thinking about building a whole new aquarium, but then I realized, well, I already kinda have one here in our water supply. And as long as I manage to keep this at least somewhat filled, it'll be a nice little ranch. Well, of sorts. Now, obviously, I don't want Pacu swimming all around here, so I think I'm going to try to seal off a 96 tile area, because each Pacu does require 8 tiles of water. They did change the mechanics of how this works, so I'm going to be doing a little bit of experimentation on it, and I'll update you more on that here in a little while. So I suppose the next logical step is I need to start clearing out all of this and gaining access to the AETN. That's really a mouthful. I'm going to try to think of a nickname for this thing because saying anti-entropy thermal nullifier each time doesn't work and AETN doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. I also put down our kiln, and that way I can start turning some of the coal into refined carbon. I want to do that because I think it's about time to start making a little bit of steel. Nothing too outrageous, especially considering I haven't even discovered iron or iron ore yet. But there is some in this biome that we're starting to dig up, so I figured we might as well. As a matter of fact, this planetoid does not have a lot of iron. What is up with that? Of course, we still have quite a bit of the planetoid to reveal and dig through, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot more iron here at the bottom of the map. Also on the to-do list is we need to start ranching these Drecos because I'm going to need plastic here soon. It's got less of a priority than the oxygen system itself, but it would be nice to get those going as soon as possible, and I think this area right here works sort of perfect, which means it's time to do some more digging. And right on time, our Cycle 54 dupe is ready to be printed, and in this case, I think this Lyra is going to win out. We don't have as many diggers as I'd like, plus Lyra's got the bonus of being a decent operator. Welcome to the colony, duplicate number 21, Jack died. And unfortunately, Jack Died does not have a mess table to sit at, so I'm gonna have to work on that as well. Where can I put another mess hall? Maybe right up here where all this mealwood is? I'll wait until the next harvest, but for now, just to remind me, I'll have Jack Died sitting right over here. I was trying to figure out what to do with all this water that's in our way, and I think the best thing we can do is just drop it and let it freeze. Granted, it is 830 kilos of polluted water per tile, but there's plenty of chill in here that we should be able to turn it into ice, and that way I can get around it, unlike this computer desk that has to be demolished. And for some reason, we still don't have a demolitions expert. Not to mention, we're starting to get tight on morale for some of the duplicants who've been here a little while. There we go. And we already have little ice chunks appearing, plus there's a wheezewort, which will hopefully keep this place nice and cool anyways. That should work out well. The security door had to be opened by submitting the bioscan before it could be deconstructed. And now we're just going to start gutting through this place. We're also going to have to remove all of these tiles and enclose the AETN in with some insulated tiles. Jack, Dad, I feel like you're going to get stuck. Can we move back? Oh no, you're already stuck. I've got these 2 tiles being dug out on a priority 9. Then they'll be able to hop, skip, and jump. Let's just hope that Jack Died doesn't live up to their namesake. There we go, buddy. Good job. I'm really going to have to start being careful with some of these dig commands because there's so many dupes. Some random cook will come down here and start digging out tiles that they can dig out, meanwhile trapping everybody else. Like old Citrus Mod here trying to get trapped. It'd probably be smart to turn this on anyways. That way we can get rid of all the carbon dioxide down here. I think I'm also going to wait until all of this is taken care of too. And that way all of this debris falls, and then I'll dig out 1 extra tile so I can seal it in without having to do any sweeps. I'm also looking for a demolitions expert because this light fixture here is going to be in the way, so is this, well, at least for the plan that I do have. Over in the research front, I think it's about time to get our hands on some shipping, and it's going to come in handy for this weird Pacu ranch I've got going, which I don't know why I'm doing this. I guess the whole idea is a low-effort Pacu farm that'll require relatively little amounts of dupe labor because, you know, we just don't have enough dupes around here. Cycle 57, oh my goodness, I would love to have 3 cheval eggs. Gives us a pod with only 2 dupes to choose from. One has allergies, the other is a kitchen menace. And while I don't love the allergies, Marie starts with a level 3 decorating skill. But then again, they'd still need art fundamentals to be able to use blank canvases and skeleton blocks anyways. So that skill is only really useful if they're going to be a decorator. So for that reason, I think we're going to take this auto. Welcome to the colony, duplicate number 22, Queen Calero. So one reason why this was not a great idea is because the level of water is going to continuously flood this fish feeder. So I'm going to have to figure out a better way to do this. Otherwise, we're always going to end up having flooding problems in here. So I think what we're going to do is actually just make this an independent tank. And that way its level never changes. And I will put a pitcher pump in here. I'll disable these 2. And that way we can draw out some of this water. Back here in our oxygen setup, we are making some progress. It's time to put the floor in. I can also connect these pipes now. And what I'm going for here is I'm going to have several rows of metal tiles and sort of just squeeze them into a room that the anti-entropy thermal nullifier will keep cold. But I can't really make it a room yet because I still don't have a demolitions expert. Along with our aquarium project, we're also putting in our liquid pump that is going to supply the water for our first SPOM. And our aquarium system is going to be pretty simple. This auto sweeper here is going to pick up any and all eggs that the Pacu lay, throw them in the conveyor loader, and it's just going to ship them up to this tile here. This auto sweeper is going to pick up any Pacu, and Pacu eggs only because we don't want any other fish in here like gulpfish or tropical fish, and throw them into this incubator. Now I will end up powering this incubator for the simple reason that Pacu live for 25 cycles. Well, if we just waited for this egg to naturally incubate, it's going to take 5 cycles, which means an incubator that's being manually worked by a dupe could only produce 5 Pacu in the lifespan of the Pacu itself. But by powering it, we'll then get plenty of Pacu in order to keep this place going. Now, there will be time because of this process. Our water is flowing towards our SPOM. I am going to seal up the bottom part because we shouldn't have any more work to do in there. The top part, I probably end up damaging some of these hydrogen generators, which, by the way, yes, I did catch the flipped bridge. Hadn't done that one in so long, huh? Which also means I need to change where that is connected to make sure it's the overflow. And of course, I'll need to deconstruct these tiles just to be able to get back in there to build those 2 gas pipes. Now, to start off with, I have this Atmos sensor on above 5,000 grams, which it's not going to get to because I want to get as much hydrogen up here as possible to help stabilize everything in here. These pipes, I'm just going to bring all the way up and start oxygenating the entire colony. Now, this pipe system is probably going to change quite a bit because I'm going to have so many different SPOMs all feeding into here. So I think to start off with, we'll just do the whole simple one for every level on both the middle, the right, and the left. Granted, we don't really have a left quite yet, but I can use that left side for now just to provide oxygen for our masks, which also means I can get rid of this whole system here. Here at Cycle 60, we have 3 yokels sitting in the pod. And in this case, it is going to be the Ellie who does farming and supplying. The rest of the dupes only have 1 interest. Plus, Ellie's even handy. Yeah, you are, Ellie. Welcome to duplicate number 23, Eilert. Lots of pipe construction going in, and my brain is already starting to think of what other type of oxygen systems I can do that wouldn't work like this. In fact, the railed oxygen system that I did on the last playthrough would have worked perfect for this one. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be getting any frosty aloe veras for quite some time, so this is going to have to do. Alright, Broken Moon, you're getting skill scrubbed. They just earned their 3rd skill point, So if I skill scrub them, I will be able to get into some demolition. And as you can see, I kind of need it. Everything's in the way. If I was a skill scrubber, where would I go? I think this will work fine for now. I'm also going through the research tree and picking up all the tier 1 and tier 2 research in no particular order. We have the labor for it right now. I also think we're about ready to start the SPOM. And to do that, we're just going to overload this wire right here. Yes, this network will not be able to maintain this, but that is going to be okay. And as soon as these dupes are finished with these pipes, the whole system will start running. We have hydrogen starting to form. I've also been churning out a lot of the copper because this whole metal plate here was very expensive. I also need to vacuum this whole place out because, well, carbon dioxide is a horrible conductor. In fact, why am I wasting all this copper? If I fill this whole room with hydrogen, then I can just route the pipes through it, and the oxygen will be cooled that way. Now, there's a couple of different ways that we can control the temperature of this room. You've probably all seen the mechanized airlock system where the AETN turned off and on by automating the doors. Whenever the doors are open, well, the anti-entropy thermal nullifier won't run. Whenever it's closed, though, it will. Don't mind the mess. I'm just putting this in as a liquid lock, and that way I can start vacuuming this whole place out. I think that will work right there. The SPOM is just about ready to start running, so I think we will start feeding in the hydrogen. Yeah, we're going to have a little bit of damage to the hydrogen generators, but that will be just fine. We'll say above 250. There is only milligrams. Oh, perfect. And just like that, we have pure pipes of hydrogen. And I do not want to vent that out there anymore. I already have the pipe ready for the overflow hydrogen. We're going to use it to fill this place, but I also just need to vacuum this whole thing out. So I'll put down a couple of gas pumps, and I'll end up connecting them to the oxygen pipes. That'll make vacuuming it out nice and easy. And finally, Broken Moon Alchemist is done being skill scrubbed, so thank you, buddy. You are our wonderful demolition expert. Yes! Destroy that desk! Send it to the ether! And magically, the desk just disappears. And I think the SPOM is now self-sufficient, so I can separate that wire out. Ah, beautiful. Why aren't you running? Oh, that makes sense, because the battery's not set. And since I know we're not going to break any more hydrogen generators, I can seal this up here and here. Oh no! I completely forgot to connect these electrolyzers. How did that happen? Looks like we're getting back in there for a minute. Cycle 63 doesn't leave us much of a choice. May is unconstructive. Travaldo's a yokel nyctophobic, so I think the winner here is going to be the Steve. The more people we have digging and building, the better. So welcome to the colony, duplicate number 24, Lindsay Grossman. And oh dear goodness, I just realized I was sending up all that carbon dioxide from the room into our mass docks. Let's go ahead and cancel that, shall we? They did get them repaired, but who knows how much copper ore I wasted in the process. I just noticed these oxygen mass docks have little meters that show how much oxygen they have in them. I'm also going around and deconstructing our oxygen diffusers. We'll probably end up using them again in the future. Oh dear goodness. Citrus Mod, just move faster, buddy. Oh wow, you are really slow, aren't you? Oh, my silly saltwater broke, so now we're not even vacuuming anything out. Well, other than the polluted oxygen that keeps off-gassing into the room. I suppose hydrogen is lighter than everything else, so maybe I don't need to vacuum it out. I'll just fill up the room with hydrogen and it should push all the other gases out. Yeah, it's kind of working out. Granted, I'm going to dig down a little bit in here. That way, all the carbon dioxide has a place to go when it's being pushed out. And that should work. And I have decided that I am going to use the door method. The other direction I was heading is I was just going to stop the flow of the hydrogen. Well, the door method sort of does that anyways. I need to start getting a move on with this. We're making some progress, but it's not going as quickly as I'd like. Because the problem is, well, the oxygen's now coming out at 50 degrees. So if we're not careful, we'll end up stifling all of our food. I'm also starting to put in the Dreco Ranch. It's going to take me a little while, because we have some other competing priorities. We're almost done draining all of this water. More pipe spaghetti is going in as I finalize this design. I really should start thinking about what I'm doing before I do it. That seems to be a good strategy. Not only in oxygen not included, but probably life. And look at that, it's time for another dupe. Here at Cycle 66, we continue to get lucky. We only had the option of 2 different dupes, an Ari and a Travoldo, and one squeamish, and the other's unempathetic. Not too big of a deal either way. I think we're going to end up going with this Ari because they are a digger, which means they're going to be building a lot as well, and they're handy. So they'll get the bonus to construction right out the gate. Welcome to duplicate number 25, J-Ray. Our allow the hydrogen to push out the gases has worked pretty well, but there's going to be some stubborn gases like the carbon dioxide here just because of the door system. So I am going to hook up one more pump just to get the last little gases out there. But now that it's warmer in here, I know the salt water will stay and not turn into ice. Other than that, though, the last thing we're going to be doing is just clearing the place out so it looks a little prettier. The big question on my mind is, do I keep these ladders? So close, and we've... Oh, how did you get there? This is becoming a real nuisance. Next time, can we vacuum the place out first before starting to add the hydrogen? That'd be great. Oh, at last. That took a little bit longer than I would have expected. So now I can deconstruct and continue to finalize this whole thing. Dupes are not having a good time in here, especially dupes like J-Ray, who for some reason is the slowest moving dupe I've ever seen. And it has to do with the fact that they're getting major eye irritation for -4 to athletics, and the fact that they were a slow dupe to begin with because we just printed them. So they have a -40% run speed because they have itchy eyes. Cycle 69 and our last dupe for the episode is gonna end up with this Marie, only because they have the least amount going wrong with them. Gossman has noodle arms and Freya has bottomless stomach. Welcome to duplicate number 26, Squishat. Our aquarium is up and operational. I did end up adding the fish release. It does have Pacu selected. Our fry eggs are coming out, and all the fry eggs that don't end up making it in the incubator are just going to turn into fish in here and eventually turn into Pacu fillets. Speaking of which, I do need to make sure I have Pacu fillets on. Yes. We have the fish feeder being loaded up with mealwood seeds. In fact, I can turn this down to a priority of 1 because the auto super will take care of moving the mealwood seeds from the storage bin into the fish feeder, just in the same way that this auto sweeper is going to take all the Pacu eggs and put them in the incubator. I have this timer sensor set on 50 seconds out of 600, which if I reset it, a duplicate will get the task to come hug the incubator, which will give the fry egg the lullaby buff. Thank you, Alarat. And finally, at long last, our AETN room is complete. And of course, the salt water failed me again by turning into ice. So we have a little bit of carbon dioxide, but it's at the bottom, where it doesn't really matter. We care more about the hydrogen in the top area where it's actually being cooled. I also moved the thermosensor from up at this point down to here, because this is where it is relevant that it stays nice and cool. For reference, we have it set on below 25. In fact, I can go a little bit more aggressive. We're going to say 20 degrees. So if it is warmer than 20 degrees right here, these doors will shut, turning on the AETN. As some of the comments have suggested, we'll have plenty of hydrogen left over, so what I'm doing with it is just pumping it into a hydrogen generator that is hooked up to the grid. And we're probably still sitting a little too high on the hydrogen, even though this thing just finished, so I'm going to keep an eye on it and see how much hydrogen this is taking. And if worse comes to worse, I'll start plugging in all the grids with extra hydrogen generators. I hope you enjoyed this episode and are looking forward to more in the series. I'm probably going to start working on another SPOM. Let me know in the comments below what else you think we need to move up on the priority list. So until next time, much love, happy gaming, and I'll talk to you soon.